All right, that done. That particular feature, one of my least liked features of all Cisco iOS, is now turned off. Another feature that I strongly suggest you turn on is if you go to line console 0. At this point, notice the command prompt is now changed again. I'm now configuring just the console port, and I'm now in the config-line. Now, if I use a question mark here, I'm getting context-sensitive help for the commands I can simply type here at the config line prompt. It looks like the auto-config thing is still going. Interesting. All right, well, I'll see if I can figure out why that's still going later. But from here, I want to turn off the other annoying feature, which is the logging synchronous feature. So I'm going to do, or actually turn on the logging synchronous feature. The logging synchronous feature allows me to get my command prompt back after the router sends a trap message. A trap message is anytime it sends a logging message, and the console by default has logging on. So these logging messages, usually you'd send it out to a syslog server. This isn't a logging message, by the way. Logging messages always start with a certain prompt. So if I exit out of config mode, like such, you're going to get a logging message. Now the logging message is, at this particular time, notice this is uptime, we've been up for 10 minutes here, I've got a system, a type 5 trap message, and it's config message. Now this is, the message was, we configured from console by console. And that would be a message we could send off to a syslog server and store so we can identify, any kind of issues or things that are happening on our devices. But usually, by default, when I get the trap message, if I'm in the middle of typing something, I'm now typing blind because that particular prompt has overwritten what I'm typing. Now, what I've typed is still in the keyboard buffer, so I could hit enter and it will still accept it. But this thing is in my way, and, it's just one of those general annoyances. Let me show you what it's like with it off. So, line console 0, no logging synchronous. And then I'm going to, again, exit out. We're going to get the same trap message. I'm going to type a bunch of stuff, but now notice what happened. I've now got the same trap message, but now I can't see what I've typed. Now, if you want logging synchronous, if you forgot to turn logging synchronous on, there's a control sequence you can use that'll get your prompt back. If you hit Control R, it will redisplay what you have at the next command prompt. Otherwise, that whole logging synchronous thing automatically does the Control R for you. So, go back here, turn on logging synchronous. Again, same scenario. I type a bunch of stuff, and there's the trap, but it redisplays what I have in the next prompt immediately. Okay, very useful thing to have. All right, let's go back and do some basic configuration stuff within a device. So things that our setup script did that we didn't save, we put a host name in. So let's go ahead and put the command host name. I was going to name this box ICND 1-SW. Notice this, another very important thing to understand about configuring any Cisco iOS device. Anytime you type a command in from configuration mode and you hit enter, it immediately accepts that command. So notice as soon as I hit enter, the command prompt was changed, and that's it. If you type a command that somehow disconnects you from the device or disables the device, and it's a perfectly valid command, you hit enter, you're either off the network or the network is now no longer functional. So you need to be careful with your commands, because if they're valid commands, the router will accept it immediately, and even if that means that you just shut off the network, router or switch. So just be aware that the command line, as soon as you hit enter, it takes it and will run with it, and that command is now in place. So it's not something you have to type in and then save later and then see if it works properly. All right, so we're going to do enable secret next. The enable secret command is where we put in the MD5 hashed password. I made that Cisco. Okay, so now we have that in place. Now if I do my show running configuration command again, notice that even though I typed enable secret Cisco, it then placed it like this. Now, what you're seeing here is 5 is saying that it's MD5, and there's a space here to indicate that there's a hash string to follow. And this is the hash string for MD5. And actually, with my security training that I've done, I've actually learned to read this and break this down in a little bit of a fashion. The dollar signs are actually separators. So what this is showing is $1. This is version 1 of the MD5 hash algorithm that Cisco uses. Other switches like the Cat5 Catalyst OS use version 2. The next part of it is the salt. It's basically a random number generated for the algorithm itself, and it needs this random generated number to redo this. Effectively what it does is it takes what we type in the password prompt when it prompts us for a password. It takes what we type, it takes the salt and then the MD5 algorithm, version 1, and then runs through and then comes up with this string of gobbledygook.